If we are looking for reconciliation between humans and nature, first we should try to identify the moment of the separation and the beginning of a possible conflict. Since when have we been in conflict with nature and why? Our coexistence with nature, being ourselves in the middle of the conflict, makes it very difficult to have a detached overview. We cannot see the misfunctions of the system as long as we are inside the system. High-altitude architecture, as a very singular and brief phenomenon, outside of our common life and experience, might offer the external sample system that concentrates the evolution of architecture, society and nature, and could help identify the moment of rupture between humans and natural environment. First, humans had a primitive and direct contact with the wild nature. They had to survive. The high territories were completely unknown, dangerous, and offered no opportunities or rewards. The basic human needs, protection, shelter, food, even oxygen, were completely missing. It was not worth going up there. High mountains were only a mystic and mysterious presence. They were ignored at the point that in the 18th century in Europe high mountains appeared on maps only as white surfaces. Scientists and artists were the first to become curious about high mountains. Scientists would wonder what could hide in high mountains, and artists, poets or painters, started to find aesthetical qualities in the impressive high peaks. The first heroic mountaineers appeared for a new goal, the glory of being the first to reach the highest peaks. Although a very modern goal, they approached mountains in a very primitive and fair manner. Humans with no additional support were struggling to survive in harsh environments. First, high-altitude architecture was primitive, small shelters, easy to find, basic shapes, placed in natural safe areas and built exclusively with local materials. This was the first step upwards, the heroic age of mountaineering. Slowly, elements from the architecture beneath started to appear at high altitudes. Technology made its way up in the mountains. Prefabricated architecture, inspired from the army, replaced the primitive shelters. But life inside these new shelters was still basic. They would only ensure human survival. And for a while, despite the growing popularity of mountaineering, high-altitude territories remained unpopulated and wild, keeping their mystical character. At the beginning of the 20th century, architects became interested in building in the mountains. It was an obvious opportunity to create monumentality, but it wasn't yet possible. The Expressionist architects limited themselves to design an utopian pure new world on the highest mountains of Europe. It was more a reaction, a manifesto to the First World War society, than a concrete intention to build and inhabit the high territories. Modernists also created some isolated elements as echo of the social development in the valleys. Their interventions didn't change the natural alpine character, they were simple experiments in the new mountain laboratories. Then the 60s and the 70s got inspired from spatial architecture. Until the beginning of the 21st century, high-altitude architecture was rather sporadic and didn't have any impact on nature. Architecture wasn't able to provide enough safety and comfort to the large public. Being and living up in the mountains was still only a utopia. But then, with the support of new gear, technology and materials, humans managed to reduce and even make completely disappear any hazard at high altitudes. That was the turning point when mountains, especially the highest and most famous mountains, became brands. High-altitude architecture played a very important role in this radical change. It was possible to build everything, new artificial environments that could offer a similar comfort to any building on Earth, including entertainment. The direct relationship between humans and nature completely disappeared. Nature and mountains became simple, safe products ready to be consumed by mass tourism. The fundamental change has been produced by the disappearance of the direct connection to nature and therefore the respect to nature. The once wild and mysterious high peaks became public playgrounds. The question is if this mutation could be restored, if people could give up entertainment and safety to return to a fair relationship to nature. This could also mean simply not to go there anymore as long as the journey is not with our own natural strength, to replace entertainment with challenges, and to be again part of nature.